Hey there guys, before I start today's video, I just want to go ahead and let you guys know that I uploaded a video last week, Batman Sins of the Father comic review, but it was taken down 13 minutes after it was uploaded, and the reason I wasn't able to go and resolve that issue as soon as possible was because I was at work. So I usually schedule upload the night before. I did that at 9 a.m. and then at 9:13 a.m. I got an email saying the video was taken down because it violated YouTube's guidelines. Those guidelines being unwanted content, clickbaity sort of titles and all that stuff, clickbaity tags, everything like that was pretty much unwanted within a YouTube video. And I was kind of just like, what the hell are they talking about? So I filed a appeal, but by the time that appeal went through and they brought the video back up, I'm pretty sure that video was not even appearing on your guys' sub box at that point. I doubt that YouTube, once they brought the video back up, would have put that video on top of your sub box feed, So if you haven't seen it yet, you could go and check it out. I would greatly appreciate it if you did. But yeah, that's pretty much my 1 minute spiel. And here is this week's video. Hey there guys, I'm back to another video. Today I'm here doing another pickups video. This time it is for the entire month of July. I actually bought a decent amount of things. It's not exactly too crazy, I think. But you know what, everyone has their own opinion, right? But yeah, this month of July, I bought some video game related things, which I will obviously show off first. And then after that, I will get into all of the comic booky sort of things that I've been picking up and all that good stuff. So, first purchase I made for the month of July, No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle. The reason I bought this was because when I did my Wii collection video, someone commented like, yeah, you should probably go and pick up No More Heroes 2 because it is getting a little expensive, which I did see, to be honest. I saw that it was, rising up in price slowly. So I was like, all right, let me just go and finally pull the trigger on this purchase, and I bought it for $25. I don't think it's that bad, to be honest. $25 for a Wii game. No More Heroes 2, especially, that is a sequel. And it was never re-released anywhere else in the US or North America region. So glad that I finally have it in my collection of Wii games. Next game here, I think that this was an obvious purchase coming from the guy named tvsonic. Sonic Mania Plus. I bought the Switch version because I already have the game on the PlayStation 4, and buying the Switch version I think made some sense. But yeah, Sonic Mania Plus featuring Mighty and Ray and a bunch of other cool things. The physical edition includes an art book and a Genesis reversible cover. Haven't opened it yet, as you can see. Maybe I'll buy the PS4 version on Black Friday if these things are still around. I have no idea if these are limited releases or if these are actual like physical, retail releases that they're just gonna keep pumping out for as long as they can. So hopefully that is the case, because I definitely want to go and own Sonic Mania Plus on the PlayStation 4, just physical release and collector reasons and all that stuff. So yeah, very happy to go and own it on the Switch, and maybe I'll play through it again with the whole Mania Plus edition. Next couple of items I have that are video game related are amiibo. So first up, the Splatoon Pearl and Marina amiibo. I am not the biggest Splatoon fan, but I do like the character designs of the Inklings and all that stuff, and the amiibos are no exception. They look great. They are really nicely detailed, and yeah, I'm very, very happy that I decided to go and buy this, because when it comes to Splatoon amiibo, it's a little hard for them to reprint them. At least with Smash Brothers amiibo, now there's a new Smash Brothers game coming out, so there is a incentive to reprint those. But when it comes to old Splatoon amiibo, Nintendo doesn't really reprint those. So glad that I have it in my collection and I don't have to worry about spending a huge amount of money later down the road potentially. The other amiibo I have here, I actually bought before they announced that they were going to reprint these on the day of Smash Ultimate's release, which I'm really upset actually, because I did pay a little bit more than I would have liked to, because these are the Cloud and Bayonetta amiibo, and these are two amiibo that I did not purchase when they came out because I thought that they would be around for long enough, but obviously they weren't, and sold out and all that stuff. And obviously I got these from a Japanese seller because these are Japanese edition amiibo. I'm not too upset, but obviously I would have saved some money if I just waited for the re-release coming up. But you know, I'm glad to go and have now every single Smash Brothers amiibo in my amiibo collection, and all I need now are the upcoming ones for Smash Ultimate. Next video game related item I have here, I saw this at Target and I thought that it would be interesting to go and try with my friends. Super Mario Brothers Power Up card game. It is up to 8 players, 3 to 8, 10 to 30 minutes, ages 8 and up. But yeah, if you want to go and read that back there, pretty much you're playing a card game based around the Mushroom Kingdom, and obviously the original Super Mario Brothers. So I think that is very interesting. I haven't tried it yet, as you can see, because it is still sealed. But hopefully one day me and my friends could crack this open and try it out, see if it's good or not. So there's that. Since we're still talking about collectibles and figures and all that stuff, I bought the Crash Bandicoot NECA figure. The main reason I bought this was because I saw this at my local comic book store when I was picking up some comic books, and I saw it there and I was like, I'm probably never going to go to a Target or a GameStop to go and, you know, try to hunt this down. I'm here right now. It was like $25, which I believe is $5 higher than the retail price. Personally, I didn't mind paying that price just because for every $10 you spend at that comic book store, he puts a stamp on the card, and once you fill up the card to 10 stamps, you get $10 off your next purchase. So I think that is, you know, pretty cool. Like it gives you a incentive to spend money at that store compared to going to other places to go and spend money there. But anyways, yeah, it's a really cool figure, keeping it sealed. I know that NECA at San Diego Comic-Con announced that they were making even more Crash Bandicoot figures, which is really nice. I'm probably not going to pick those up just because I don't have any room, and I think that the base Crash Bandicoot figure for myself is good enough. Alright, so the last bit of video game related stuff is a comic book. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Sonic the Hedgehog IDW series issue number 7 comic book. This is cover A, this is cover B. If you would ask anyone, as a Sonic fan, I'm pretty sure most of them would say cover B is much better, so I'm just going to keep this in the front as I talk about this comic. No spoilers, obviously, but this comic is by far my favorite from the Sonic IDW series so far. The story that they've been building so far, from issues 1 through 6, has been pretty good, I think. You know, there's obviously critics out there that think that, you know, the story isn't all that great, and it's kind of like, you know, retreading sort of old territory, but these are the first 6 issues that we're talking about. But the 7th issue, I think, is really good. It gives us a decent amount of action. The writing, the story, once again, that Ian Flynn is setting up is great, awesome, fantastic. And obviously the shiny Sonic logo on top is really, really cool. But yeah, and the art by Adam Bryce Thompson, or Thomas. I was a fan of his work in issue number 2, but I wasn't, like, you know, in love with it. You know, I was like, all right, I think that this guy has potential, and he definitely does. He definitely comes back in this issue and does a fantastic job with the art, and you can definitely see with this cover, cover B. When I first saw this online, I was like, this is great. Like, I am definitely buying this variant cover once it comes out. But yeah, I really, really love everything about this issue, and I cannot wait to go and see what happens in the next one. Alright, so the rest of this video is going to contain a bunch of comic book related things, so mainly Marvel and DC is stuff that I have here. So if you aren't interested in that and you only came for the video game stuff, you can leave if you want, but let's go and dive into a couple of more figures that I have here. I saw these at my local comic book store once again. He actually prices these at $20, and you know, all you gotta do is pay tax on top of that. So I had no problem paying that price because these are Marvel Legends. These are normally priced at that, you know, $19.99 price point at retail stores. So I was like, all right, you know, I see these. I was a huge fan of the, you know, Ant-Man first movie, the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. I think it was all right. But, you know, now I got figures of them, especially Ant-Man, you know, that nice sculpt of a face right there. And of course, Marvel's Wasp. Alright, so next up I'm going to show you guys some Marvel comics that I have here. First up we got Venom. This is a brand new series that has been making its rounds recently, if I can say that. So I recently got into it, so I got issue number 1, I got issue number 2, issue number 3, and issue number 4. I'm just going to talk about the Venom comic so far. No spoilers, of course, for the first 4 issues. But personally, I like this series so far as a Marvel fan and Spider-Man fan. What they're doing with Venom as a character, I think, is really good. I feel like that this comic is definitely going to be 10 times better than what the movie is going to be, which is going to be extremely sad. But, you know, this comic is definitely going in a much different direction. And I feel like if they turn this comic into what the movie is, or like, what I'm trying to say is if they took what these first 4 issues are trying to do and they adapted it into a full-fledged movie, I think a lot of people would be really confused and probably wouldn't like that movie. But since it's in a comic book, you know, there's a lot less people having their eyes on it, I guess. And personally, I really like this Venom comic so far. And I cannot wait to go and see what happens in issue 5. Because issue 4 is pretty much a setup issue. There's not much that happens. It pretty much explains a lot of things as to, you know, who the main bad guy is and his origin story. But the first 3 issues are a blast to read, and I had a really good time with it. But yeah, if you're a Marvel fan and Spider-Man fan like myself, you should definitely go and give this series a shot. And definitely try to go and wait for the trade paperback, I would say, because getting these individual issues now is a little difficult, especially issue number 3. I'm pretty sure you can see why, because Miles Morales' Spider-Man is right on the cover, because he does appear in this series, which I guess is a spoiler, but come on, he appears on the 3rd issue cover. So yeah, so he is definitely in this series, and you know, you'll go and see exactly what his character does and how his involvement in this Venom comic series is. The next Marvel comic I want to go and talk about is the newest run of The Amazing Spider-Man. We got issues number 1 and issues number 2. And yeah, like I said, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and the fact that they are rebooting the Amazing Spider-Man comic at issue 1 with a whole new team with Nick Spencer as the writer. And yeah, personally, I am liking it so far. I'm still a little conflicted because when it comes to Spider-Man, I really like it when Spider-Man is still in high school. But this Spider-Man, there's still some continuity to the old Amazing Spider-Man where it's like, you know, he was controlled by Doc Ock and all that stuff, and you know, pretty much the old run, the Dan Slott run of the Amazing Spider-Man is still associated with this Spider-Man. And since I'm not a big fan of that Spider-Man, me reading this, it's a little bit harder for me to go and get into it, but you know, you still see Peter Parker struggle with certain things, and you know, he's struggling with, and him being Spider-Man as well, and you know, those things conflict and everything like that. So you know, this is still Spider-Man, and I really do like where the series is going so far. Once I hit issue number 4, that's when I'll decide whether or not I want to go and keep continuing this series, because there was a previous Spider-Man series that I was reading, Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, and I read the first 4 issues or something like that, and after that I was like, alright, I'm gonna stop here because it was a little bit too different. But when it comes to this one, it's not too different when it comes to, you know, being Peter Parker and being Spider-Man and all that stuff. So but yeah, other than the fact that he's an adult and he's trying to look for an apartment and all this stuff in there. So if that sounds, you know, fun to you, you can definitely check this series out. Just the first issue is like $6 because it is a pretty big issue, I'm not gonna lie. So there's that. The last Marvel comic here that I have is The Weeknd Presents Starboy. And now obviously this is a comic book based on the artist The Weeknd. And as a person who actually listens to his music, not like, you know, a huge fan of his, but you know, I am a listener of his music, and I was interested to go and see what this comic was going to be and how it was going to, I guess, work. I think that this is a one-shot. I don't think that they're actually going to do like a full series of this. Personally, I wouldn't mind if they actually, expanded the Weekend Starboy series comic into an actual, maybe like six issue like miniseries or something like that. I think that would definitely be very interesting. But this one shot in and of itself, I think it was decently good. It's not going to blow your mind or anything like that, but it's pretty good, I would say. Now, before I get into the DC comics here, let me just go and show off one more non-Marvel comic, but it's also not a DC comic. It is The Incredibles 2 Crisis in Midlife and Other Stories Part 1. This pretty much is a continuation of where the Incredibles 2 movie left off. There's a couple of stories here and there that definitely take place after that movie, and I really do like the fact that the other stories part mean that there are actual other stories within this one issue comic book. I think that there are a total of 3 stories. The first one is a pretty good chunk of the comic, and then there's like 2 smaller ones, which is pretty cool. I really do like this comic series so far, and there's going to be another issue, I believe, in the month of August. So cannot wait for that to come out, because I'm definitely a huge fan of this first issue. Alright, so moving on to DC, I only have one single issue. Actually, yeah, I missed out on a Marvel comic. But anyways, let me go and talk about the 2 DC comics that I have here. So first up, Superman issue number 1. I am not a Superman fan whatsoever, but Brian Michael Bendis, if you did not know, he was like a huge part of the Marvel writing team. He has since moved on to DC, and he is currently working on Superman. And I was like, okay, I never really read Superman. I wasn't really a fan of Superman, so I was like, okay, this is brand new issue number 1. Let me go and see where this comic book goes. And this first issue, I don't know. I'm really confused as to what the hell was going on, because there's not much of a backstory. I mean, I know who Superman is. I know he comes from the planet Krypton, and his name is Kal-El or something like that. He goes by the alias Clark Kent. But I don't know. Maybe I need to go and read a couple more issues. Like I said, I like to invest into a couple of issues before I finally drop a series as a whole, just so I know, exactly how the series went, and, I get the full story as well. Because I believe most comic series, they do like 4-issue story arcs. So after like the first 4 issues, I'm like, all right, do I want to keep going? If so, I'll keep going. If not, I'll just drop the series. So, but Superman, issue number 1, slightly confused, but Brian Michael Bendis's work is always he's always been a huge fan, or I have always been a huge fan of his, so yeah. And the other DC comic that I have here, and then I'll talk about the other Marvel comic to go and close this video out, but I have Super Sons of Tomorrow. So as you guys may or may not know, I am a huge fan of the Super Sons. Damian Wayne, Robin, and Jonathan Kent, Superman's son. I am a huge fan of this duo, and they did a crossover series with, I believe, this trade contains, it contains Teen Titan issues, Super Son issues, obviously, and I believe a Superman comic issue as well. I am not entirely sure, but pretty much this was a story arc that bridged a bunch of series together, and I was not a fan of that. I don't like it when comic series do like, joint sort of like, what's it called? Sort of stories, and you have to go and buy their other series as well to go and keep track of the entire story. So I was just like, all right, I'm just going to wait for the trade paperback, which I was not disappointed, to be honest. I was not disappointed by waiting. This story is really interesting, and I really liked the whole involvement of the Super Sons and how they got involved in this situation, and the Teen Titans as well, and the Justice League and all that stuff. So really big fan of Super Sons of Tomorrow. And then after I read this, I read the rest of the Super Sons run because it actually ended, but now there's going to be a new Super Sons comic called The Adventures of the Super Sons, or of Super Sons, or whatever. But pretty much there's going to be a new Super Sons comic book series, and I'm very excited for that as it comes out next week, I believe. So yeah, this is a great little story arc. If you've never read any of the Super Sons comics, pick up the first trade paperback. I think you'll like it. This is a very lighthearted, very jokey sort of series. Not entirely, you know, there's still some action and still some plot, but I think it is excellently written, and the artwork is fantastic as well. So there's that. There's my little spiel on the Super Sons. Hopefully I sold you on that. And last but not least, I have one more comic that I thought was a DC comic for some reason, but it was just all the way at the bottom of my stack, and that is a Marvel, The Astonishing Ant-Man, the complete collection. This recently came out. I bought it on Amazon for like 30 bucks. This pretty much contains the entire Nick Spencer run of Ant-Man, and supposedly this is like one of the best comic book adaptations of Ant-Man, according to the Wolf Den. And I have been following the Wolf Den as a YouTube channel for a long time, and as the release of Ant-Man and the Wasp was coming, I believe it was, Will Wolf. He's the one that does the comics. He recommended, you know, if you love Ant-Man, you know, the movies, you should definitely go and check out this Ant-Man comic. So I was like, all right, I'm going to use his Amazon affiliated link, and I bought it with that. So very excited to go and finally jump into this, because as you can see, this is a big comic. Or a big trade paperback, because, you know, it contains a bunch of issues in here. So cannot wait to go and jump into this, because I'm a huge fan of Ant-Man. But yeah, I think that is all I have for today. These are all my pickups that I picked up throughout the July of 2018. A couple of video game related items, a bunch of comic books, and all that stuff. So yeah, if you guys like the video, be sure to like it, and I will see you guys next week with another video. So hope to see you guys then.